what's up guys? This is Tom Burkhardt from Car Revs Daily. In the 2016 Jaguar F-Type R Coupe, all-wheel drive. So this is the all-wheel drive version, which is new for 2016. All-wheel drive is available on the F-Type R and the F-Type S, as well as the stick shift that's available and new for 2016 on the F-Type V6 and the F-Type V6S in rear-wheel drive form. So that's all well and good. I am obsessed with this vehicle and wanted to take a little bit more of a, a driver view that's less launch focused than than the previous reviews I did, out in the national park. And in order to do so, I want to extol the merits of the F-Type beyond its incredible beauty, ferocious power, one of the best sounding power plants and drivetrains in the world, and overall just highlight really the evocative and sort of emotional impact that the car has on me, or has had on me, as I've been testing it this week, and touch on that with you guys looking right at me. I think a lot of the videos get mixed up if they're just looking forward. It just looks like the same video like over and over, even though that was like 30 minutes of stuff. Anyway, so this review is going to be a little bit less full throttle and more just focused on what a terrific, well-balanced, just badass sports car of a car this Jaguar is. It's so great. It's honestly makes you weak in the knees as you look back on it, walking away from a parking spot or coming up on the F-Type R Coupe, when it is parked. Anytime you just sort of like, your brain is somewhere else and you see it and you just think, this is the most beautiful vehicle I've ever seen in my whole life. I mean, it really is that beautiful. And it's all about, well, it's not all about, but the F-Type Coupe is greatly enhanced by its different styling than the convertible. This fastback roofline is stunningly beautiful. Slimline LED taillights are unique, exceptionally memorable, and really effective at moving the F-Type up market and as a viable competitor to not only the 911 and Mercedes SL, but cars like the Aston Martin V8 Vantage and other exotics. So that's a huge achievement from a design standpoint for the F-Type Coupe, which comes in with a sticker price, excuse me, I should say, which comes in with a base price of 65 grand for that base V6, and up to the F-Type R all-wheel drive coupe with a base price of 103, as our test vehicle is today. So that out-the-door price with carbon ceramic brakes and active safety and suede headliner, and a couple other things is about like 123. So it does seem high, but let me tell you, this car is a very, very special and evocative machine. It's had a tremendous emotional impact on me, because it is not just because, like we said, that it's so fast, but it's so pure and joyful about its speed. This car really, really relishes every time it gets to zing up that red line and deliver its 550 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. This 5-liter V8 is a marvel with supercharger in this third-gen supercharger. Even with a real Hawkeye ear, you cannot hear any kind of supercharger whine whatsoever anymore. And so now it's just all benefits. I mean, from that, with maybe 5% of the engine's power that the supercharger pulls, just by being like a stress member of the engine components, that 5% delivers 30-40% bump in actual power and performance. And the benefits of which are very difficult to overstate. This car is fast as fuck. It is so fast. 3.5 seconds to 60 miles an hour is what we got on the V-Box the other day. It just is effortless, or not effortless, I should say, but it's a really visceral experience. Even in that 3.5 seconds, you're very involved, and it doesn't just sort of zip past like I was saying, like about the GTR, the 911 Turbo, where all of a sudden you're just sort of like, oh my god, what just happened to my body? With the Jag, I mean, you're very involved in the process, but like any all-wheel drive, car, any all-wheel drive supercar, I should say, there is less drama in the launch than there is with the rear-wheel drive cars. But the all-wheel drive has a number of huge benefits and really no demerits that I can find on the F-Type Coupe. So those benefits are, of course, just like incredible grip at all times, but a handling balance that still maintains its very, very rear drive focus. And in like wet weather or when really, really provoked, this Jag will go, will of course drift anytime. All four-wheel drift, happily anytime. But when it does let go, specifically, the handling is tuned so exceptionally well that the rear does go first, and that all-wheel drive apportions the vast majority of its power, upwards of 80% to that back axle for the vast majority of the time. And that really makes a big difference because it doesn't become like an understeery type all-wheel drive car, or even like an all-wheel drive like an Audi TT that is, that is mostly front drive for all intents and purposes. So the third amazing reason for all-wheel drive is, of course, just all-weather ability. I mean, you can drive fast even when it's raining. You can drive fast, perhaps in snow and sleet. You'd have to be a little braver with your F-Type than I am with this one. In terms of just snow driving, of course, we've got 20-inch Pirelli P0 tires and all that stuff. But you can drive the vehicle in the Northeast. You can drive it. It obviously loves its Minnesota test track, deep near the Canadian border, where all-wheel drive is a game changer. And it vastly expands the scope of what the F-Type can do and what you can, and the confidence that you have in driving it. And that's a huge thing. Without really sort of that understeery push problem with some all-wheel drive cars, or like the wooden steering that they can get, where you lose a lot of the front end information when it is an all-wheel drive car. The F-Type really is so light and playful that even with all-wheel drive, or perhaps especially with all-wheel drive, the car is just more fun than ever before. Amazing car. So we're in R mode right now. We've got adaptive suspension as well as dynamic chassis control, which changes the steering, throttle map, shift points, and of course this switchable exhaust, which I can turn on or off. So we've got it off right now. So then it's just more pure engine intake harmonic, and then when it gets on its second sportiest cam profile, there is still a really nice blat. But of course, with either in dynamic mode, which engages the sport exhaust automatically, or manually selected as the sport exhaust, there's no better sounding car to make you feel more like you've arrived, even on the way to your destination. This really is a car that makes you feel like a badass mofo, and I think that's a big selling point, especially for people who love the acoustics and the sensory immersion that the Porsche 911 provides. So the F-Type R Coupe is one of my favorite vehicles of all time. I mean, and I of course really enjoy the rear-wheel drive version as well, but the all-wheel drive car is a half-second quicker in my hands, is less prone to stepping its tail out, which can be good or bad depending on your handling priorities. But for sheer competence and track lap times, this all-wheel drive car will demolish its rear-wheel drive F-Type R brother. So that's a big selling point. I mean, you might not think that 2 seconds or something on Laguna Seca or 10 seconds on the Nürburgring is a big deal, but when you get that on the road, those changes just translate into vastly more control, more handling, just more of an envelope to push that 8, 9, 10 driving that you would really have to be a pro to do otherwise confidently, and with the assurance that you're going to to not have a big accidente. So that's all really nice, because it lets you evolve your skills and your driving talent as you get to know the car better, but you don't really have to be scared to apply full throttle, for example. I mean, not that I've ever been one who's afraid to floor it, but that is a huge merit in a car that is so powerful and so fast. 550 horsepower to a 3,500 pound chassis with this carbon fiber roof. Amazing R body kit, and actually a black pack on the test car, which is great. Which, I mean, I love any black pack, don't get me wrong, but on the F-Type, it is interesting because it darkens the nose and that entire inner oval mouth area so deeply in gloss black that you do lose like a little bit of the design, like I guess you could say elegance of the first F-Types, but it's the car still makes a very dramatic statement for itself and is so beautiful from all angles that really there's no way to be displeased with its looks. A stunning machine. But that being said, there are a few places, you know, where I think like a refresh would be beneficial. So for example, like the dynamic cornering adaptive Bicene and projector balls are amazing. I keep trying to like outsmart them, you know, with quick steering inputs, and you can't beat it. I mean, it follows you around the corner and follows the steering lock like a Tucker. It's and is really, really helpful and effective. It makes you feel like you're in like whatever Bond movie was it. Sorry, the name is escaping me right now, but where he's driving the Aston and he has to rapidly swerve to avoid his love interest, who is tied up on the road, and the Aston, you know, of course, goes off the road filmed at Millbrook high-speed test track, and the Aston then flips. It's a very dramatic part of the movie. But with this car, you really would, going around that curve, there would be no surprise upon finding her. What is her name? Vesper, upon finding Vesper tied to the road, because those lights would follow the curvature of the road. So that's awesome. And then the actual lighting performance with automatic high beams is really, really simple and effective. Superb light coverage, depth, you know, distance, all that stuff. So that stuff is really, really good. But the LEDs for the DRL signature are starting to feel like maybe they need a refresh, both technologically and look-wise. Technologically, I say that because they are still like pretty high flicker units. This is not something you ever really see with your eye, but you know, as we've seen from like those ultra high frame rate like Top Gear scenes and stuff, with the LEDs, how they can flicker sometimes on and off. That is like a big issue for the F-Type in photos, particularly on camera phones. Like for the iPhone, for example, yeah, I mean, it's very, very difficult to take a picture of the F-Type with both of its LEDs illuminated at the same time. So I mean, that's like, seems like really, that's like a very, very silly thing, and something that they're obviously certainly aware of for potentially a facelift for 2018 or 2019. But it is somewhere where you know, where I'm clutching at straws to find places that they could potentially improve the vehicle and I mean, make it even more of a supercar halo heaven. So that stuff is all really, really, I mean, this car is superb. Feels so light, and actually has a big trunk. I mean, it's not huge, but it is a good shape, and it has room for a golf bag. I've proven you have to take your drivers out, but there's room for potentially 2 golf bags in there with your drivers out and sort of like creatively packaged. But there is a lot more room back there than there is in the convertible, which is really nice. And even actually after a few days of driving, I've come to I really don't mind like having the bulkhead here as I did before. Like with we have 14-way sport seats that are, I mean, that are jam-packed against that bulkhead, which is a structural member of the aluminum chassis, and is necessary to keep this ultra rigid yet super light feel to the car at all times. And you know, when you first get in, that's one of the first things you'll notice is like, oh, well, you know, where's the rearward seat travel? I'm telling you, anybody who fits in this car is gonna be obsessed and love their F-Type more than they've ever loved, ever thought they could love a vehicle in their life. So these are all really, really good things. Hopefully I'm conveying my sheer bliss driving this car. It makes you feel so special. I've got a manual 5th there just to rev it out. Really a superb chassis, powertrain, exterior design, and then we can talk about the cabin interior luxury. I mean, this R is quite a machine. We have exposed carbon fiber weave for the R center stack, as well as the lots of other details. Nice gloss black elements for this small boss Jaguar steering wheel, which has the R flat bottom and really, really chunky, intensely firm, yet super soft leather wrap for the steering wheel, so you have a real hands-on feel and you're really able to get really physical with the car confidently. Next you have these amazing shift paddles, which are seriously PDK responsive for this 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. I mean, that's in the first gear. I mean, but there are overrides. It doesn't make you feel sort of like a jackass like some of the Mercedes and Porsche sportiest transmissions do, where they will like bump into a rev limiter and they will like refuse to kick down and stuff like that. The Jag, even with my sort of, you know, talking to the camera and also trying to drive and, you know, observe the surroundings, even with that, which makes paddle shifting really difficult to do well, I haven't had any problems being able to summon the Jag's full force with throttle jab, you know, to the floor and past its passing point. It has a little detent at the bottom of its travel that engages, you know, warp speed. The car is superb, is so great and so fun, so beautiful. So really the only things that should come into your mind now are, is this the car for me? Is this the right place to put my $100,000 on a supercar? I say absolutely, absolutely. This is probably a little personal, but I have personally had like vastly more sex in the last week driving this car. People really, really love it. I've had, you know, easily 10x more conversations with the public, with people, you know, sort of like following me to gas stations, coming, talking about the car, wanting to know everything about the car, taking pictures of the car, all that stuff. Even more than the Dodge Charger SRT the week before, which obviously in South Carolina here, people really, really like that car, like a lot. But the response to the Jag has been vastly, significantly higher, perhaps 2 to 3x more interest on the road and when parked than even that big SRT. And that's a really, really huge vote of confidence, especially even, you know, in this deeply competitive set. It's a small, sort of a shallow pool of buyers who are looking for 2-seat exotic sports cars with, you know, with just like, I mean, Lamborghini levels of performance, but everyday usability, comfort, luxury, and overall utility. I mean, there's no sense of like, oh my god, I can't go in these speed bumps, or oh my god, I'm gonna get the car, I don't want to damage the car in this parking lot. I mean, it's so compact and so confidence inspiring. The F-Type is really a car that can not only be driven every day, but be driven every day like really, really hard. You will never get to work so fast as in this vehicle. Love barely describes it. It is a superb, terrific achievement of a car, and it does really good things for the Jaguar lineup, which of course is like, which is like almost all new for 2016 and 2017. So for 2016 we have a new F-Type, the new XE, or not new F-Type, new XF, a new XE, facelifted Jaguar XJ, and then coming like around June is the new F-Pace SUV, which very well equipped. Comes in like between 60 and 70K, and from a base price with their new Ingenium turbo diesel of just like $44,000, which is like amazingly good value versus any Cayenne or Macan. So I'm just so sold. I don't even know what to do with myself. I love Jaguar. I love their exceptional balance of luxury, really sort of like event-worthy performance, the purity of the drive experience, overall joy of ownership. I mean, even seeing this car in the driveway is enough to really trigger a big grin. So what else is there? I really don't know. But one thing, perhaps for future cars, you know, it would be nice if the active spoiler was available or could be manually operated in the United States market, where it is just fully automatic, unless it's in like cleaning mode for up and down. And then other things, I think that, and the other thing is when the spoiler is up, I think it could be a little more beautiful. Like it looks, its functionality is a little bit, it sort of diminishes the purity of the Jag's tail when it is up, just because there's some like dark gray plastic underneath the spoiler and sort of hardware and stuff like that. And then perhaps in the future, it could be, you know, a real active air brake, a la McLaren, where like if I were to hit the brakes right now, even under way under the 50-mile-an-hour thing, it could pop up, you know, and that would be cool. But it would require a different mechanism. I mean, it's sort of a slow electronic movement right now, whereas it's not like a pneumatic ram. But I mean, all these things are just details. With the real sheer delight and art of performance for the 2016 Jaguar F-Type Coupe is plain to see and very easy to feel the moment you sit down in the vehicle. Okay, 2016 Jaguar F-Type R Coupe. Probably the fastest, best car I've had the pleasure of driving for an extended period of time. I'm desperately sad that it is going back to Jag today, and trying my damnedest to keep making media, taking pictures, and getting you on board with this F-Type. Go drive it. Book a test drive online at JaguarUSA.com, and that way you can ensure that you get behind the wheel and really get to experience the heavenly nature of this F-Type. Because as good as it looks when it stops, that's only, you know, perhaps 20% of the sell. The 50% of it is going to be it's just amazing performance. 20% it's luxury, and what do we have, 10% left? You know, and maybe that last 10% is going to be just the sense of true badassitude that you get from driving the car, and owning the car. I mean, people love you. People will like you a lot better than they do now. So that's about as high a compliment as you can give a car. And probably time to sign off. This is Tom Burkhardt for Car Reps Daily. 2016 F-Type R Coupe, all-wheel drive, sticker price $103 base, and up to a $123 as tested price, with $12,000 carbon ceramic brakes and some other fairly pricey options. So very worth it. However, life changer, game changer. I can't press stop. Do you notice this?